this thing. Here we go. Try to keep out of everybody's way. Okay, tramp building. Building blocks, just real quick, we'll go through this stuff. And you notice I don't have my, I have a lot of, folks, I have a lot of good athletes. I'm just saying, I mean, a lot. The majority of my kids are really good. But I don't use my top drawer kids to show these basics. I'm showing my level 3s and my level 4s and 5s, the beginner kids. Because it's these kids that I need to teach these building blocks to. So let me show you what they look like in real time, where they're at this particular time in their gymnastics. And all I want you to do is to make sure you understand the one thing that we have to have, I ask for it all the time, is form. They're gonna have to have the leg, make sure the legs are straight in a seat drop position. I ask them to point their toes. I ask them to keep their feet together. Okay? When they go for skills, I want them to be conscious of where they're at in tramp, and they need to know left and right. And if you'll see, there's some young, and then there's some that are even younger. But that's the whole magic of my program, I feel, because I've been able to take kids since 2020 all the way up to the present, and I've represented in 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. I feel like I'm going to represent 2016 and all the world championships in between. The only reason I could do that is because I've started kids at the bottom. So of all the coaches out there, right here in this room, the level 10 coaches, the level 9 coaches, 8 coaches, some of you probably work more with the older kids, the better kids, and not the level 3s and 4s. Nothing wrong with that. But if you really want a strong program, get back down and work with the level 3s. Get back down and work with the level 4s, because there is the future. And if you have a good talent to work with at the young end, at the young age, you're going to really be building some strong athletes in the next years to come. So, now check this out. This is a little combination of a front, 3/4 front, and a seat drop, and a doggy, back to a seat. Now, I've already shown these girls what direction they need to twist, and I'm just getting this out of the way. I mean, I could spend hours telling you why I'm doing certain things and why this is so important. These are the building blocks, but then we don't have that kind of time. I just want to continue on with what I'm just showing you so far. A tramp goose. Okay, so this is going to be important, and it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like these kids are doing much right now. Okay, it looks like they're just jumping around on their back like a bunch of Mexican jelly beans. But there is something to this. You need the snap action for a kip. You need a snap action for shapash, raid, dismounts. You need all that stuff. So you see the little ones trying. I want it in a pike position. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's in a tuck position. Sometimes it's pretty, sometimes it's not. Still very important. Now my trampolines immediately look a little different than all of yours, right? Because I got bumpers on the left side and the right side. Any of you guys seen that before? Unless you've been to my gym? Okay, now here's the way it's supposed to look. Here's the intent of this thing. Try to imagine a shapash. Try to imagine a ray. Try to imagine a pipe flip. Can you see that? Can you see how that works? Try to imagine a kip. Try to imagine her hanging onto a bar and snapping into a kip. See that hard snap, the timing, the flip? Okay, that's going to be important when you go into a ray or a reverse hack. Yeah? Very effective. Just low to the ground. Okay, I call this a blob. And a little history on that. How many have had foam that you didn't know what to do with? I mean, just it's time to change foam, and then you got a bunch of foam sitting around, don't know what to do with. Well, way back in the day when I started, when we started the gymnastics, there was this company called Gym Master. And they made something called the Paul Bunyan. I don't know if you know what that was. A big old bag. That's all it was, a big old bag of just old foam, new foam, just crushed up foam. And so when you're first starting off and you're building your own gym, you have your own gym, you have a balance beam, you have a bar, you have only a couple mats, and one became this big old bag. And so years later I said, hey, why don't I just make a big old bag because I can have all this foam. And it turned out to be so useful that I use that all the time. I call it the blob. And so the blob is in front of the trampoline, you'll see it a lot. And then on the side, I made these side blocks. So now kids can fall sideways if they're trying to twist or flip or something, and they can be completely safe, and they feel safe. And if they're going to feel safe, they're more likely to try stuff. Mm-hmm. So this is your blob. I'm sorry. Oh, this guy's going. All right. So remember this position. Remember this little movement. We're going to be using it. We're going to be using it a lot. That's going to be for all of your twisting and flipping, whether it's on bars, or whether it's going to be vaulting, or whether it's going to be on bars. Tumbling, you name it, we're going to be using it. All right, so we're training for a pack. Now, okay, all the big, strong guys out there, I know you've had to spot packs here, and everybody knows what a pack is, right? Pack, that's the only weakness of this video. I didn't show the actual skill first, and then show the progression. But the pack, basically, if you dumb it down, people call it a flyaway in between the bar, from the high bar to the low bar, flyaway. So what typically happens, I mean, haven't you guys spotted packs before? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, that's a high bar, you swing through, in between the bar, do a flyaway, catch the low bar, fly kip. But the biggest problem is what, coaches? Kids over-rotate. So let's use the trampoline to get them to make them figure out how to slow themselves down. And you, as a coach, you don't have to worry about doing that. Now, even for the big guys, you can do it, but it's hard. But for the females out there, there's kids that'll knock you down. Man, they'll take you out. And the biggest thing that you could do is protect yourself first, keep yourself healthy, so you can protect your gymnasts. So let's get all the bugs worked out of this. Let's make sure they try to figure out how to slow themselves down first. And if they can do that on the trampoline, now you can speak the same language when you take them to the bar. If they keep over-rotating to the back or under the seat, you know they're having something somewhere upstairs in their head. They're not using their brains to think about, how do I make myself slow down? But how do I make myself slow down? So anyone that knows a pack, is that not a pack? Is that not a beautiful pack? Yeah? All right. Now here's a pack using a C-drop. I don't want a bunch of bounces. I want them just stationary sit, and they go to a back handspring. That's all. Stationary sit. Yeah. Looks easy, but for a gymnast who's never done that, they'll get nervous at first. So the progression to that is C-drop, back extension. I didn't show that, but I'm just saying. There's always a way you can build a progression into this. Okay, here's a bail. So now you can use a C-drop. So the first thing you do, C-drop, you saw that bail. I'm sorry, the pack. The pack was the actual back handspring, body's arched, right? Saw that? All right, this is getting ready for the bail. Okay, how many coaches know what a bail is? Handstand, swing through between, half turn, land in a handstand. So just so you know, at Gage, we never teach shoot overs. That's probably a skill that a lot of people think that the kids need to learn. Swing through, half turn, catch the low bar. Gage never coaches that. Always coaches swing up, half turn, handstand. Because worst case scenario, it'll turn into a shoot over. But if you teach a shoot over and try to go to a handstand, almost impossible to break that habit. We keep the body tight. So for a bail on the trampoline, you don't do an arch back handspring, you do a straight body, C-drop straight body to a handstand. And then if you can do that, then you turn in the same direction as your left twist or right twist if you're doing a layup full. Yeah. So again, I'm not showing you people who do it perfect, I'm showing you people who are working this and it's in transition. first thing you're going to see most people do is just kind of roll over and they half turn. That's kind of a shoot over. You want kids to drive their feet up to the ceiling, and okay, now straddle back. You know what's so cool? Back in the day, straddle backs were a big deal, and then there was a period of time where the straddle backs aren't even in the code, in the international code. So for a long time, clubs like myself, we just banned straddle backs and never used it until we started to use that as a transition from a high bar to a low bar with a twist. And now, suddenly, straddle backs are cool again. So now we put them back on bars, but we're using it on the trampoline first. So there's your straddle back. Do it on the tramp first before you go to the bar. And let's twist out of it. Now this is more complicated than most of you need to know now, but if you're going to twist, there's two directions you're going to twist. There's pros and cons. You can straddle back and go the back pirouette direction, or you can go the direction of your normal twist, which you feel comfortable. There's pros and cons. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to shut up. But at the same time, you get to see the action on the trampoline. So the biggest, most important thing is getting the hips up. Can you see the value of that blob there? The blob's soft and forgiving. It's not a resi. A resi's cool. They're fine, but this is cooler. This is more forgiving. It feels like a big old pillow, like they sleep on at home. It's like softer than your mama's bed. That's exactly, I'm not joking about that. When they feel that comfortable, then they're gonna try that stuff. Did you guys see that half? Did it go right by you guys? I just think that's amazing. You know why it's so amazing? Because these kids are so ordinary. Did you just hear me say that? Yeah, there, I said it. Most of these kids that I'm showing you these drills are, they're just ordinary kids. They're not the Brenda Downs, okay? They're not the Sarah Finnegans. They're not the big. Just the average kids. That's just an average kid. I bet you she's never going to go past level 9. This kid, but she's working a hop full right now. Hop to a back pirouette, and then hop again, and hopefully she'll make a full. I'm just showing you it can be done. And if it can be done, someday she might be able to do it with a spot. But now you're not gonna wrestle her in the air. She will know what direction she needs to go. And she may just get it. And an average kid can do that. What do you think a talented kid can do? Okay, now here's just preparation bouncing. We're just trying to get people used to bouncing trampoline. And there you see my setup. I got the blobs on the side, blobs in the back. They can make mistakes and do all that stuff. You know, way back in the day when we were hungry for any information, they were pirating Russian tapes back then, you know, showing people how the Russians were training and they're on the trampoline and they had all these nets in the back and stuff like that, right? Okay, well that was the same thing, only the blob is something that we can use because it's what I got. And it's better than putting nets in, so that's why. All right, Ginger. Ginger. Okay, let's take the mystery out of the Ginger. But let's get the squirreliness out of the Ginger too. Let's make sure the kids know that they got to rotate and they know what direction they need to look before they even get on the bar. So it makes your job easier. And if they did, then you ladies would be able to stand on a platform and you'd be able to just take the gymnast, grab her in the hip, and just place her on the bar. Hang her on the bar easy if you did this. Okay, go ahead. There's the body shaping. Now, you know what's so cool about this?